6.5 years ago or so, we weren't in a recession in Nevada, we were in a depression. And you talked about mindset. And the voters went to the polls and they selected somebody with the most unbridled positive energy I've ever met, who came here with a vision, and he didn't like the nickname the media gave him, Governor Sunny, because he was so positive in the middle of the worst times that Nevada and Nevadans could make this change. And he came here and he put together an economic development arm of the state. He energized everything, and you've seen what has happened. We've had 6 of these conferences, and what a difference in the impressions of the people that come then and now. So how are you going to top that? Without further ado, our governor, Brian Sandoval.
Thank you, Bruce, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. As Bruce said, it's the most people we've ever had at this conference, over 640 people, and that's just tremendous, and I think that's a compliment to you, Bruce, and to your staff, so thank you very much. And Myrtle, thank you for your remarks. I'm a proud graduate of the University of Nevada, and I've had the opportunity to get to know Myrtle during his time here, and he really is a tireless advocate for the university and for this region, so please give him another big hand. You know, I'm really happy to be here because a lot of people don't know that I'm a son of Sparks. I grew up only a few miles from here, and I was telling Anthony that, first of all, thank you for the investment and the confidence that you have in this community and in this property. I'm somebody who's been coming here since I was a little boy for the Easter brunch, and I still remember Bertha and Tina and going to dinner at Johnny's Oyster Bar and all those things, and to see what you've done and what you're doing and what will be done here is really a compliment to you and your family, so thank you, Anthony. But this is great. I mean, it really does inspire me to see all of you and really feel the amount of positive energy that we have here. This conference really does bring together the leading community and business minds to share information and create new connections and opportunities. You know, Bruce said it. Right now is an exciting of a time in our state and in this region that I've ever seen. And we're experiencing a new economic rebirth, and we're charting a new course for our state. How we're all working together and the progress that we've made, and Bruce, you alluded to it. I mean, I want to remind all of you, 6.5 years ago, our unemployment was close to 14%, worst in the country. We led the country in bankruptcies. We had lost 175,000 jobs. Think about that for a second. That's 175,000 people. We had a $2 billion budget deficit. We had the worst foreclosure rate in the country. Now, I'm an avid reader of books, and you know, I thought about, I don't know if any of you have ever read The Perfect Storm. You've probably seen the movie, but there's a chapter in that book called The Zero Moment, and that's the moment between whether a ship sinks or it stays above the water. And Bruce mentioned it. I recall giving my first State of the State in 2011, and I don't know it specifically, but one of the journalists counted the number of times I used optimism in my speech, and that's about all we had at that time. But on the other hand, I know Nevada. I know all of you. I believe in us. And when I said I was optimistic about our future and that our best days were yet to come, I meant it. And I knew that we would never give up, and I knew that it could be done. It's what I call a lot the Nevada family, that we were all in this together and that we had each other's backs. So we've come a long way, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a few minutes, but I also understand and appreciate that we have a long way to go. But Bruce, this event really epitomizes the best of what's happening in our state. The Business Expo, where we've showcased many of Nevada's leading and long-standing businesses and organizations. And many of those companies represent our traditional industries, including gaming properties, financial institutions, and utilities. But these were some of our anchor companies that really kept us, steady when times were toughest. And I'm going to talk about or mention a few of them: NV Energy, Caesars Entertainment, Greater Nevada Credit Union, AT&T, Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce. This was part of that core, amongst many others, that really kept us going. But as Dr. Gotham mentioned, our state's evolving, and it's evolving rapidly. And as part of our state's diversification, we've attracted some of the most iconic and innovative companies on the planet. Now, he's mentioned some of them: Amazon, Apple, Tesla, Google, Microsoft, Hyperloop One, Switch, Zulily, Jet, Flirty, Patagonia. Now, these are just a few, and most of which weren't even in our vocabulary 6.5 years ago. I just finished a trade mission going to Panama and Peru and Chile. And I've been to Australia and other places, the Far East, selling Nevada and talking about our state. But I will tell you, it's really cool to be able to walk into a room and say that we will have the largest advanced manufacturing building on planet Earth, and a mile away we will have the largest data center on planet Earth in the same area, and people suddenly realize that Nevada's on the map. Yeah, thank you. But just as importantly, and as Myrtle talked about, are these new startups and what they're doing, and the winners from the business pitch competition. They represent another important part of our state, and most importantly, are going to be very fundamental to our success in the future. So as we begin our economic development diversification efforts, and what I thought about 6.5 years ago was it was my goal for Nevada to be on the ground floor of innovation, and for what some are calling the fourth industrial revolution. And some of you haven't read about that. It's a technological revolution that will fundamentally alter the way we live, the way we work, and the way we relate to one another. But it's happening. It's happening right here in our backyard. As I mentioned, advanced manufacturing, autonomous vehicles, drones, data centers, internet fulfillment centers, energy storage, hyperspeed transportation, even converting trash to jet fuel. I don't know if you read about that. Some of you as old as me have seen Back to the Future, but kind of like that. But again, that's over a $300 million investment in this community that's going to produce new jobs, but it's happening right here. Companies like that, and when I talk to them in my office, they have a lot of choices. They have a lot of choices, and they do a lot of due diligence, and they're starting, and they are choosing us. So I'm a proud Nevadan, just like all of you, and I'm really competitive. And I want us to be the best at everything we do. And it's really exciting, as I mentioned, about what's happening across the Silver State as we take our place as a rightful leader, not only in the industries, our core industries of gaming, mining, and tourism, but in these new industries that I just spoke about. And with our job creation, our fiscal stability, our business startups, and our wage growth, Nevada is emerging as one of the most competitive business destinations in the world. Now, I told you about all those bad statistics that were real, but now I'm going to tell you how far we've come. So, our employment numbers have grown every month since January 2011. This next statistic is one of my favorites. I told you that we had lost 175,000 jobs. Well, now, As I stand here today, more than 230,000 new jobs have been added. Yeah. But what's even better, 100,000 of those come from small business. Our jobless rate, which was right at 14%, has dropped over 9 percentage points. Income is on the rise, and wage growth has exceeded the national average in the past 13 quarters. Nevada has the 4th fastest growing private sector in the nation, and unemployment claims have dropped a staggering 60%. Yeah, that's a good one too. But this may be the best. Our employment exceeds 1.34 million jobs, the most in Nevada history. That's amazing. So this momentum is because of all of you. As I said, you stood strong. You stayed tough. This is resonating throughout our state. And in watching our state recover, and I think I can speak for all of you, it's a breath of fresh air after we've been holding our breath for such a long time. And then something that has really restored our Nevada pride. We're building once again, we're growing once again, but we're doing it in new and visionary ways. We're investing in our infrastructure, in our schools, and in our colleges and our universities. I'm going to talk about a few of those things. You know, a lot of people up here in northern Nevada don't realize that down south, Project Neon is going on right now. It is a road construction project, almost $1 billion, the largest public works project since the construction of Hoover Dam. It's a really big deal, and it's going to change the way that people move in southern Nevada and prepare it for the future. Just this coming up in the Labor Day weekend, all of you are familiar with USA Parkway. And we're going to break ground, or not break ground, but cut the ribbon on that to connect Highway 80 and US 50, and that goes right through the Tahoe-Reno Industrial Center. It will be completed 3 months early and on budget. It's going to significantly ease travel. Thank you. Yeah, it must be somebody from Story County. But it is really going to change the dynamic for commerce out there. Again, down south, we will soon be opening the first segment of Interstate 11 from the Arizona state line near Boulder City to Las Vegas. That was a several $100 million project that is going to change the dynamic down there. And for those of you in northern Nevada, we are in the planning stages of improving the Spaghetti Bowl. But it's not just that infrastructure. We are investing billions of dollars in our K-12 schools and students statewide by constructing new buildings and modernizing old ones. We're expanding our commitment to English language learners, special education students, children in poverty, gifted and talented students, and ensuring that students in rural areas, and I know many of you are from the rural areas, but ensuring that they can have an equal educational experience than a child that lives in Washoe or Clark counties. Yeah, and I'm glad that Myrtle spoke first, because we just finished a legislative session, and it was called many things, but I called it the session of higher education, because I knew that was the next step. And we made unprecedented investments in our community colleges, in our universities. Here in the north, at the University of Nevada, $41.5 million for the construction of a new engineering school. It's about time. Almost $80 million for the construction of a new medical school in Las Vegas. It's time that there was a $1 million to start the planning for a new healthcare science complex at the College of Southern Nevada, and $3.4 million for the education academic building at Nevada State College. All of these investments will take our higher education system to the next level. And Myrtle talked about those partnerships with regard to providing that workforce and the research opportunities for this new Nevada that we've talked about, and has been nothing less than remarkable. So of course, all these state public works projects are important pieces to our recovery, and I'm going proud for the 16 approximate months that I have left. I'm going to continue to invest in our great state. And again, this is another thing that we're going to announce for the first time today that really talks about how far we've come. So 6.5 years ago, I just told you how we led the country in unemployment. And when I stepped in that January of 2011, not only had we depleted our unemployment insurance fund, we owed the federal government $800 million. Now just stop and pause for a second and think about that. Not only were we done, our savings account was gone, but we owed $800 million. So all of you, our business community, should really take pride in this next announcement. And we've held this until today because you do deserve the credit. So, as of this month, I'm proud to announce that we've gone from zero in our unemployment trust fund to a little over $1 billion in that. And just as importantly, I told you, and I can't wait to burn this piece of paper up, but we're going to have that $800 million paid off by the end of the year. So we will be $1 billion in the black. So my thanks, because I do know it's the employers that pay into that employment trust fund, and it's been your contributions and your support and your confidence in the state and in your employees and this economy that made this a reality. So this is a great day for Nevada, and we should really take pride in this exciting news. But I couldn't help myself. I added this morning because there's a lot more good news to share with all of you. So Tuesday, if you followed the news, and as I mentioned at the press conference there, we were out in Silver Springs. It was a gut punch to me to learn that there were 14 counties in our state where we had 8,000 Nevadans who didn't have access to health care. And if you live in a place like Battle Mountain or Austin or Eureka or Lovelock or Elko, even Gardnerville, Minden, Carson City, you wouldn't have the ability to purchase health care. So we were able to announce, working with Centene, which is called Silver Summit in our great state, as well as Hometown Health, a partnership, and Nevada will no longer be the only state in the country that has 14 bare counties, and those people will be protected and have access to health care. That was a great announcement for us. Just a short few weeks ago, and I've said this as well, I want Nevada to be the most veteran and military-friendly state in the nation. Yeah, period. But we broke ground, and Kat Miller is here with our Veteran Affairs for the state of Nevada. But we broke ground on the Northern Nevada Veterans Home, just a couple miles from here. That campus will be, but $48 million to build a building that is state-of-the-art to provide proper care for the men and women who protected our freedoms. On Sunday, and this is other good news, and it may not be economic good news, but this is great news for our military families. One of my proudest responsibilities as governor is serving as the Commander-in-Chief of the Nevada National Guard. I've had the privilege and honor of visiting our troops in the Middle East 3 times. And when you go to Iraq and Afghanistan and Kuwait, and you visit our soldiers and see them away from their families and their spouses, and it's 120 plus degrees, and they're representing all of us, it really makes an impression on you. But on Sunday, I'm welcoming back the 485th Sustainment Brigade, who just spent the last year in the Middle East. And now that they're home, it means for the first time since my service as governor that every unit in the National Guard is in Nevada. So that's a... But be proud of those men and women who serve our country. Today, we had a big announcement. The state received another $1.2 million in federal grants in addition to the $8.2 million we've already received only a few months ago to fight the scourge of opioid abuse. You know, you know, many of you probably know this, but if you didn't know, we lose a Nevadan a day as a result of overdose associated with opioids. So this is going to go a long way to fighting that horrible disease. And today we also announced that Nevada joined FirstNet, which will bring advanced technologies to our first responders to help, well, we got some first responders out here to help them even better save lives and protect our community. So it really brings us in the forefront, and I want to thank AT&T for its partnership with our great state. Thank you, Stephanie. So let's build on this success. You know, we've always welcomed hard work, individualism, and independence. That's why we continue to attract new industries that will define the next generation of innovation and why our existing companies continue to make global headlines. And I talked about it, from mining to drones, tourism to hospitality to autonomous vehicles, construction to distribution and logistics, renewable energy to data storage. Nevada's success is inextricably tied to the well-being of all of you, our business community. But we know, and this is the final piece that I'm going to talk about, that in order to remain competitive in this global market, we have to prepare a workforce ready to meet the demands of the 21st century. And I know all of you, that's a challenge for you to make sure that you have employees that are willing to take that next step. So that's why the state is now focused on complementing the education and infrastructure that I just talked about with economic development successes and creating an advanced workforce training structure. So this focus starts with our students. Now this session in the State of the State, 8 months ago, I proposed $115 million in new investments for higher education, and I want to thank the legislature and thank the legislators that are here today for their leadership, because nobody does this alone. And those of you who are here and those that aren't here are visionaries as well, and in supporting and investing in the students. So please give our legislators a big hand. So we approved millions of dollars to enhance career and technical education programs at our community colleges, new funding for capacity building at the 7 NSHE institutions, and more than $50 million for new student enrollment at UNR and UNLV. Something that's very close to my heart is that we secured $20 million for the Millennium Scholarship. And that is something that I made a solemn promise while I was governor to Governor Gwynn, that program, as long as I had the ability to keep it going, that I would. And if any of you have ever visited a high school, like I have, and I know you have, and some of these families and the difference that Millennium Scholarship makes to them, so that it's the difference for a student in Smith Valley that I visited with, between them not being able to go to college or not, this is something that has to remain available to all our students. Senator Keyhofer is here with us today, and I know that he worked really hard on the Silver State Opportunity Grant. And that is something that provides students that are low income and need help, give them the ability to attend college. And he started that in 2015 and expanded it in 2017. Senator Keyhofer, thank you for what you've done. The legislature also supported the implementation of a weighted student formula, driven by the goal of providing every student in every classroom every opportunity to succeed, no matter who you are, no matter what the color is of your skin, no matter what your wealth is, whether you're special needs, whether you're gifted and talented, whatever it may be, every child in this state deserves that opportunity, and that weighted student funding formula is going to go a long way to accomplishing that. So thank you for that. One of the things that we also did is overhauled the state's apprenticeship program in order to align its efforts with economic development and fund a data system which will help track our progress. We established the Office of Workforce Innovation. And it doesn't make any sense, and I think all of you will nod your heads, to be having these job training programs that for jobs that aren't here. We need to align them with these new industries, and that's where the partnership with the universities come in. But Owen, I set a goal during the State of the State that 50% of Nevadans between the ages of 25 and 34 will have earned some form of post-secondary degree or credential by 2025. We called it 50 by 25. It's a very aggressive and ambitious goal, but this OWIN office is something that's going to help us get to where we need to go to make sure that we have this workforce of the future. So all of these efforts that I've talked about in some detail with all of you is all about you. It's to make sure that we have a vibrant and strong backbone to our state, that when you're hiring, that you have young men and young women, or people of any age for that matter, they're going to be able to come to your businesses and be able to get to work right away. You know, one of the things, and as I get older and my kids get older, what's important for me is my kids grow up. I want them to stay in Nevada, selfishly, and I want them to be able to stay here and be able to get jobs and not have to go out of state to get jobs that they otherwise couldn't get before. And now we've provided that opportunity. So I'll close with this. You know, I always, as I said, I grew up 5 miles from here. And I grew up on a dirt road in East Sparks. I've told this story, raising sheep. My first job was cleaning the sheep pens. Told them, good practice for what I do now. That was the joke, press. But no, I mean, I never dreamed that I would have the opportunity to serve in this capacity. And it really is the privilege and honor of a lifetime to do that. But I went to grade school here. I went to high school here. I went to the university here. I've been blessed to hold some different offices and have different responsibilities in this state. I've visited over 100 communities, northwest, east, south, met people, went to Austin High School, complete high school class of 4. Been to Green Valley High School, and I think they have 3,000 plus students there. You see a lot as governor, and you look people in the eye, and you listen to them. And at the core of everybody in this state is, as I mentioned before, is this pride. It's being Nevada proud, and knowing that no matter how difficult it can be, and no matter what the obstacles are, that we're going to stand up, and we're going to stick together, and that we're going to lock arms and make a difference. And there has been a collaboration and a cooperation in this community, in Southern Nevada, throughout the state, that we have never seen before, and it has brought us to this place. And that's why we have the attendance that we have, that everybody has fully committed themselves to making this the best state that it can be. You've made the sacrifices. You've shown what I like to call that true grit, to take Nevada from the depths of the greatest recession that we've, and economic downturn that we've ever had in our history to take us to a place where really, I don't have the words for it. I mean, we've only just started, and where we're going is limitless. Maybe that's the word that I'll use, is limitless. So again, it is a privilege and honor to serve as your governor. And as I said, these are the days that make me most proud, and I love going across the country and across the planet talking about the great things that are happening here, but it's because of all of you. So I thank you for what you do to keep alive the promise of opportunity in our great state. God bless all of you. God bless our great state, and God bless the United States of America, the greatest nation on earth. Thank you.